All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started now. So on Monday, we started our new lesson on introducing programming, and we saw a couple examples of code that was sequential programming, meaning that it executed line by line without skipping around or anything like that. And we saw how we could print to console, which is basically for the programmer's use to see what's going on with the program to print out different values. And then we also saw set property, which changed the property of different elements on the screen. And so that was puzzle number 3. So we saw how we could kind of change properties of different elements on the screen. So in this case, it changed a couple of things about the big button here. So like the background color, the height, and the text. And then I think in this period, we didn't get to it, but you can, I added another set property that changed the background color of screen 1. And so if I run this, as it executes and gets to line 7, it'll actually change the property of the screen here to be colored black here. Okay, and the way that I did that is I just kind of dragged the set property out, and you can actually, when you're in block mode, you can actually just click the arrows on the screen to, so the first argument here is going to be which element you want to set the property of. The next thing is the actual property you want to change. So here I selected background color. And then the third was like what you want to actually change it to. And in this case, they only give you like a list of maybe like 7 or 8 different values, but you can try, like black is a pretty standard color. So I typed in black and it knew what I was trying to do. So that's how I did that. I also dragged in another console.log that said changing screen 1's background color to black so that it would print that out for me as the programmer to know what was supposed to be happening next. Okay. So today we're going to move on to see some examples of non-sequential programs. So what happens when we want to respond to an event rather than kind of just do things line by line. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to puzzle number 4, and I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat as well so that you can follow along. There you go. All right, so in this example, like I said, this is an example of something that is not sequential code. This is actually called event-driven programming. So let's go ahead and add that as a node up here. So this is event-driven, driven programming. So this is the code. So basically, what happens is there is something called an event listener. So see this block right here called on event. This is called an event listener, and it's going to basically listen for a particular event. It's going to wait for that event to happen. And when that event happens, it's going to trigger this block of code. Okay, so no matter where it happens to be in the program, it's going to jump to this block of code here. Okay, so it's not sequential because it could be off somewhere else, like it could be at the end of this line, but it's still gonna listen for this particular event. And in this case, the event is when we click on the big button. Okay, so let me add to my notes here. Event-driven programming is when a given event occurs, it triggers a code block within an event. Well, this is an event handler or listener. Okay, so it doesn't happen line by line. The code doesn't just kind of go through these lines. It's only going to trigger this block of code if this event happens. And otherwise, it'll just kind of sit around doing nothing. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually run this code to see what happens. Let me get my mouse back. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make this go turtle fast, which is going to be very slow. And let's click run. Okay, so you'll notice that it went ahead and it printed starting my program, and it kind of went to the event listener, but it didn't do anything because the event didn't happen. And then it said ending my program. So what happens if I click this button? It's going to jump to the event handler event listener block. And what happens is it runs the code that is inside. Okay, Allison. Okay, so what happens is it kind of what it did in the previous program, where it changes the background color to blue, a darker blue, changes the height of the button to 200, and then it changes the text. And then also it says you click the button. So I wonder what happens if I click on this repeatedly. I'm going to go ahead and click it. And it's on turtle slow, so let me speed this up a little bit. So it actually runs through this code again. We don't notice, we as the user don't know, we don't notice that anything happens because the properties have already been changed to blue, a height of 200, and it's a bigger button. But as the programmer, we can see that it triggered this event listener because it's printing you click the button again. So you can actually repeatedly click this, and I'll speed this up, and it'll continue to respond to the event of clicking the button. Okay, so you're going to be able to use this on event, the event handler, to make your buttons actually function on your projects next week when we revisit them. So we're going to be using this on event block, and we won't necessarily be like changing, you know, the properties of the button, but instead we might switch a screen, and we'll learn how to do that in a bit here. So let's take a look at these questions. How does the on event block work? Be specific as possible. How do commands inside an on event run different from commands outside? Okay, so let's actually take a look at the second question. Can someone just think about this question first? So like maybe 10 to 30 seconds. Think about, how do the commands inside of this block run different than the ones that are outside? So take a moment to think about that, and then if you think you have an answer, go ahead and type it in the chat, and I'll give you a moment. All right, thank you, Clarence. I think that on event just controls one specific thing and not changing anything else, okay? And then Raslin says it all happens at the same time. Yeah, that's a really good observation too. Is like when the event happens, then it executes all this code, right? And it seems like it happens really, really fast as well. And then Clarence, it controls one specific thing. So I'm guessing you mean it like controls like when you click, right? That's a specific thing that it's looking for. It's looking for that, click of the big button, and then it goes ahead and executes that code. Yeah. On event, like the base. What do you mean, like by the base? Like because you're defining a bunch of stuff in here to happen on that event. And then Miguel says the on event allows multiple functions to happen with one click or action. Yeah, exactly. So okay, yeah, all of you have really good ideas about what on event is doing. So to kind of summarize, on event, yes, it listens for a very, very specific thing. In this case, a click of big button. If that click does not happen, then neither do these blocks of code. These blocks of code will not execute unless you click on this big button. So if we don't click on it, the program's just gonna sit around kind of doing nothing, waiting for something to happen. And if we do click, then it's gonna execute all of these. Now it doesn't really happen all at once. It seems like it does because computers are really fast. So if I speed this up, it all seems to kind of happen at once. But again, if I slow it down, you can kind of see that it's actually happening step by step, almost like these are happening like a sequential program, right? These lines are happening sequentially. But realistically, if I put it to the normal speed, which is actually the rabbit speed, it looks like it happens at once. And that's kind of the intent also, is for it to look like it happens at once. Yeah, so good job, y'all. And then to contrast that with the stuff that is outside, the stuff that's outside of the on event block will happen regardless of any event. It'll just print. So like, when I ran this, it's going to print out starting my program and ending my program, regardless of what I do. And then this stuff is only going to execute if I click on the big button. And it does look like it all happens at once because it's, your computer is so fast that it happens in, microseconds or milliseconds. All right, cool. So that's all we have to do for the discussion. They do want us to modify the program. So we want to add one command inside of the on event and one command outside of it. So what I'm going to do is right now we only have a set property and we have console.log. So maybe I want to, what I'm going to do? I'm going to click and drag my set property. I'm going to put that inside of my on event. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change again the screen one. And at this point, you can follow along and do this with me. So I'm going to change screen one's background color again. This time, instead of black, let's change it to, let's see, can do white. Let me think of let's see if it will register purple. I think it'll work. And then I'm also going to drag a set property outside. And I'm going to change, also going to do screen one there, background color again. But I'm going to have it be, let's just keep it as red. So when I first reset this code should execute regardless. But then when I click, it will go through all of these and then the background color will be purple. So let's go ahead and let's actually slow it down maybe to medium speed so we can see what happens. So I'm going to click run. Okay, and now I'm going to let it kind of do its thing. So notice how that red background came up even though I didn't click anywhere on the screen here. But now when I click on the button, it's going to go ahead and change the properties of big button again. And now it should also change the background color. So I'll click, it's going to go through each of those lines. And then finally, it's going to change the background to purple. Cool. All right. So if you did that, then you successfully modified the code. What if you click before it turns red? Oh yeah, so let me go ahead and slow it down so I have the chance to do it. So let me reset, run. I'm gonna click really fast. Did I break it? Oh, yeah, that's right, I slowed it down. Okay, so let's try that one more time. Run, I'm gonna click it, and it said starting my program. So it looks like no matter what, it's gonna actually run through, and then it's going to register the click. So it looks like it's gonna run through at least once first, and then the on event handler is gonna get triggered. So it looks like it's gonna turn red first anyway. If I have it really fast, I don't know if we'll actually see that happens. So let's try that. So I'm gonna run it fast, which is actually normal speed. Let me reset that, run it. Yeah, so it's just so fast that like it seems like it starts out as red, that you don't even see that it's actually changing it. So that's interesting. All right, good question. Jorge, if it's the audio, you know, you can always call that number that's pasted to Google Classroom for audio on your phone, and then just put in the meeting ID that's posted. Sorry. Okay, so that's all I wanted to cover with this one. So let's go ahead and click on finish, and let me clear my screen. Oh, okay. That's so I'm recording it too, so if you miss anything, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, so let me clear this. Okay. So here we finally get to playing sound, which you all are very interested in because for your project you have to play at least one sound. Okay, so let's first play through this. So we're gonna run the program, see how it works, and we have to make sure that we're gonna click both buttons. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and share with audio, so in case you're not on the screen right now, you can hear what happens. So let me go to share, new share, and then share computer sound. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna click on the cats button first. Oof, that's loud. Okay. And then I'm gonna click on the dogs button. Okay, cool. Let me make sure, because I know I was working on this before, so this might be different than what you see. So let me start over. Okay, cool. Let's make sure. Let me run that again. Okay, so there's the cat sound, 16-bit sound effects. Yeah, it's kind of blown out. And then the dogs. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So the dogs one doesn't have the sound initially. I think we have to edit that. Okay, so if we look at the cat code, let's see here. So notice that they started putting comments, which I want you all to start kind of practicing once you get into your coding your application. So comments are very useful because it helps you organize your thoughts, and I use them as placeholders. So I'll actually write out in comments what I want my program to do first, and then I fill in the code. So it's kind of like an outline when you're writing essays, which is kind of funny because I hate doing outlines for essays, but I really like writing comments for code. I guess it's more like writing out directions for yourself. And then you kind of answer those prompts by writing in the code. So it says here, when the user clicks the cat button, play a meow sound and show a cat image. And then so this block of code is going to do exactly that. So when the user clicks, that tells me that I need an event handler, and so that's an on event. And specifically when the user clicks on the cat button. So you can see here that they put cat button for the element and then click for the action. And so that fulfills that first comment. And then the second comment says play a meow sound. And so you can see play sound here. And then inside of the play sound is a file that got uploaded. So this is the cat meowing sound. And then also show a cat image. So this set property, oh, that's the text, sorry. This set property changes the image that is in this area. So let me reset this. So you can see that this image holder right here has the ID name of pet image. And so you see pet image here. And then you're setting the property of the image that is there to this picture at this location. So in this case, they put the URL of the cat image here so that when you click on it, you actually see it. And then finally, in the comment, it says change the text as well. So the message label is right here. So it says message label. So we're changing the text of the message label to cat's rule when we click there. So I'm gonna click on that one more time. So you see, you heard and saw that three things changed. The picture changed to the cat, the text changed to cat's rule, and the sound that got played was cat.mp3. All right, so now our job is to fully implement this next event handler. So for this event handler, it's when the user clicks the dog button. So this button right here. So let me reset this so we can see the ID. So when the user clicks this button, we want to play a woof sound and we want to show a dog image and text. So it looks like they already have the text for us. This is the text. They already have the image for us, but what we need to do is we need to add in a play sound method that plays the dog sound. So notice how on the left here, if we're under UI controls, we now have another tool in our toolbox. We have the play sound method. So we're gonna go ahead and click and drag that guy in here. And this time, instead of playing the cat sound, we need to play a dog sound. And so if I go ahead and I click on this arrow right here, so on the first argument in play sound, I have the option to choose. And so in this case, so when you do your applications, you're probably going to do make new sound and upload something. It seems complicated. Yeah, because it's something new, right? So when you do your projects, you probably want to upload your own MP3s or record your own audio. But there's also a sound library that we're going to use for this project. And so we can actually just search, or we can look at the different categories. In this case, I know what I'm looking for. I know that I'm looking for a dog sound. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in dog. And you can see right here, that's we're going to select that. And then we're going to click choose. Okay, so now I went ahead and I added that dog sound. So now if I run this guy, if I click on dogs, guess what's gonna happen? It's actually gonna play the dog sound and change the picture and change the text. Awesome, okay. So does anyone need me to go through that again? I'll go through it really quickly. What I did is I added one of these play sound blocks and I clicked this arrow. Then I clicked on choose. And then all I did was I searched for the dog sound, selected it, and then clicked choose. And then that will go ahead and set the sound to play when the user clicks on the dog button. All right, let's see, what else does this thing want us to do? So how does the play sound block work? So that's actually interesting. Let's think about this, because right now we're only using play sound inside of an event handler, meaning that it's only going to play the sound if we click on a button. But what do you think is going to happen if I put a play sound block outside of the event handler? What do you think is going to happen? Oh, okay, Angel, sorry. So what do you think is going to happen if I put a play sound block outside of an event handler? Do you think it'll work? It's going to play without pressing anything, and yeah, play at the very beginning. Yeah. So let's go ahead and test out that theory. I'm going to go ahead and choose, let's see what's under human. That's character. Okay, this might be really weird. Let's click the weird laughing one. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and reset this and run it. Beautiful. All right, so notice that it plays without me clicking on anything on the screen. One other thing I want to point out is that you have a false here. There's another thing that's that says false. This is for looping. I know, just in time for Halloween, right? So this is for looping. So if you want in your application to loop a sound, you're going to set this to true, and this is going to be really annoying. So so hang on. When I press play this time, it's going to loop the sound of that of that laughing sound. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so that will actually go on infinitely, right? We'll just keep playing forever. So if, like, say, like in a future project, you are wanting to program a game and you want to loop some music, then you would set this to true instead of false, instead of having it play once. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I don't want to play a sound regardless of what happens. Let's see, what else? So again, see these two lines right here, that shows up as gray in here. Those are comments, and comments do not impact your code. The computer completely ignores these blocks. They are strictly for human eyes. They're not meant for the computer. So no matter how many comments I have, it does not impact the program. The last thing it says is we should change the messages when each button is clicked. So I think that's why I had, instead of dogs #1 and cats, I think I put like dogs drool. So it just changes the text instead of the original message. That part's not super important. All right, so let me go ahead and click finish. I know we're running out of time. I just want to see what the next one is. Okay. So yeah, we'll cover this one next time because I don't think it's fair to have you do this on your own. So this next one, when we come back on Monday, yeah, just add the dog sound. That's all you have to do. So for this next one, we'll talk about random numbers and how the random number function works. So this actually introduces a whole new category, which is math. So we'll talk about that next time. And then let's take a look at the check for understanding as well. Why don't you all, for homework, take a stab at this question, which is, what is the difference between a sequential program and an event-driven program? And we'll talk about this again on Monday. So I'm going to be asking everyone to kind of share their answers in chat next time. So have an answer ready for this one. All right. And then on Monday, we'll work on the random number one together, and we'll look at this question, and then we'll start the debugging, so lesson 7. So I think we might finish this up at the end of next week, and then start back up on our projects again next time, or in the next 2 weeks. So notice that we have at the next 3 lessons after debugging is dedicated to working on your application. And then there's actually an assessment. Okay, fun. All right, so do we have to do it while we listened? Because I only listened because I'm mostly a visual learner, so I didn't do it with you. No, you can do it. You can do it after or during. Like, it's totally up to your preference. Because I recognize some people need to like pay attention and watch me first and then do it. Other people, other people will need to do it along with me. It's totally up to you. As long as you get it done, it's fine. Yes, there will be an assessment, but I actually put together for you all a Quizlet that covers the majority of the questions that are on there. So actually for this week's learning journal, I'm gonna have y'all do that Quizlet and then post a screenshot of your score. So I'll be posting that learning journal probably by the end of today. Does that sound good? All right, so yeah, no homework other than taking a stab at this question. So I'll go ahead and post that to our Google Classroom. You know what I'll do is I'll post that as a reminder when I post the video during lunch. And then I'll make the post for the learning journal also by the end of today. All right, any questions for me?
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
I did put the dog sound of the wolf, and you know how on the top of the page it has the green dots? It doesn't highlight green, like it still says that I need to do something. So how would I put it in as red?
Interesting. Did you click, did you click finish and then continue? Or did you just go to the,
Where's the finish button at?
so yeah, it's kind of annoying that once you're on a screen, you have to actually run it once first, like this, just run it, and then the finish button will appear at the bottom.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, any other questions? Isaiah, hopefully you can hear me. Isaiah, I sent out a message about downloading the Zoom app. If you sent me your laptop barcode. For those of you who sent me a laptop barcode, if you want to stick around, because right now, class is over. Let me go ahead and stop recording.